Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brandon and this is Film Flair, where we discuss anything and everything that makes film and television great. So be sure to subscribe and let's talk about a couple of great movies. Now Netflix has recently released a couple of female-led action movies. We've got Kate starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Gunpowder Milkshake starring Karen Gillan. They're both incredibly similar movies with nearly identical premises, but both managed to be unique enough to not just blend in with one another. Both stories center on a female assassin who, after getting betrayed by their former employer, end up going on revenge murder quests in search of their would-be killers before they run out of time. They both even have nearly identical backstories. The basic losing their parents at a young age, being taken in by a shadowy organization, and being raised by another assassin. And to top it all off, they both end up protecting an innocent child who ends up in the middle of it all after they themselves end up killing the child's father. So yeah, on paper, these two Netflix originals are basically the same story, but they're each executed in their own unique style that makes them an interesting watch in their own way. And another thing these two have in common is that they're both led by an incredible cast. Both leads were great in their respective roles. In Gunpowder Milkshake, Karen probably has more ridiculous action sequences and a slightly goofier story overall, but her character is extremely serious all the way through, and Karen portrays the struggle her character is going through really well, both in the physical fighting, but also in dealing with the child and being that guardian that she herself didn't really have. And in Kate, Mary Elizabeth Winstead played her much more serious role with a lot more levity to it. In fact, the same could be said for that entire movie. It's a very violent and bloody affair that, while being serious, just manages to have a lot more fun with it all. From the characters to the action to the dialogue.
Fuck you, cancer bitch.
And as far as the action goes, both were really good and honestly better than I expected. They took a page out of John Wick's playbook with some seriously creative use of gun fu that lent itself to some quite fun scenes that could be straight up vicious at certain points. And the action scenes in both were a lot of fun to watch, which is kind of the whole selling point for both of these movies. There isn't a ton of character work or even much of a full story for either of these. It's mostly just brutal action pieces held together by the faintest of storylines, although I will give them credit for having a couple of secondary stories that did help to add depth to these relatively simple stories. And to go along with those secondary storylines were some surprisingly deep supporting actors in both of these movies, with names like Woody Harrelson, Lena Headey, Angela Bassett, and more. Ultimately, they weren't given the amount of screen time I think they deserved, but you could still tell that they were just having fun on screen. I've always been a big fan of watching some serious, heavy-hitting actors in less than serious roles.
You got something in your hair. It's a tooth.
But one thing I will admit didn't make all too much sense to me was just how easily these young girls could switch from being scared hostage/victims to willing accomplices.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm her apprentice.
Now, I did like watching these young girls transform into wannabe badasses, and I understand why they were kept around, but their transition just doesn't feel quite right. Especially the way it was done in Kate. It was just too abrupt a change in too little time. Gunpowder Milkshake didn't go so far as to make the little girl excited about killing people like they did in Kate, but she was still all too willing to tag along with the assassin she just met and had just witnessed murder a few people. But at the end of the day, those girls are really just in these movies to stop them from becoming an over-the-top shoot-'em-up murder fest. But they did help to contrast against our main characters and show them what life could have been like had they gone down even a slightly different road.
You're a special kid, Emily. I wish I had more time to get to know you.
At the end of the day, both Kate and Gunpowder Milkshake are really fun action movies with interesting enough stories behind the action and just enough goofiness to them to make the audience smile and root for a killer. But what are your thoughts on Kate and Gunpowder Milkshake? Let me know in the comments below. They're both available now for streaming on Netflix. And if you are interested in and like these two movies, then you should also go check out the 2020 movie Ava starring Jessica Chastain. It's got nearly the same premise as these two, but with a bit more grounded and realistic action sequences, though still ridiculous, especially when you've got two old men fighting each other. Plus, it does have better secondary storylines and a lot more in-depth character work. It's something you'll probably enjoy as well, if not a bit more than these movies. And if you still haven't had enough, then maybe check out The Protege, starring Maggie Q, Samuel L. Jackson, and Michael Keaton. But before you go watch those, please do be sure to give this a like and subscribe for more reviews like this. We've got new content coming out every week. But until next time, have a great day, and don't forget to watch a great movie. Bye.
You're bleeding.
It's just a scratch.
You can get infected. Worms will get in there and lay eggs, and then they'll have to cut your arm off.
That's what they teach you in school these days?